This is HebdenBridge station. Whenever you go anywhere else, it's great getting back to HebdenBridge because the air feels different. That's probably a mix of things. One, you've got black trees around here, and the whole valley is surrounded in deciduous forest. Two, you're a little bit higher up and cooler than Manchester and Leeds and places like that. I can smell a weed sometimes as well. This is one of my favourite towns in Yorkshire. It's got kind of everything. This is the video I've been meaning to make for a while because Tour de France often comes on different roads, whichever part of France and everything else. But just wondered if you ever think about some of the history behind it. So HebdenBridge is quite an interesting town. It's got a really eclectic mix of people. The hippies that came in the 60s, going back to the locals, the mill workers, the canal here, when water power was king. And the reason this was a big woolen industry area is because there was enough fast flowing water here. Basically power mill. Then steam came. Steam was coal-powered mills. Before that, the Romans wouldn't come near the place because there is a stone circle above here in Old Town. So I think it was an old Celtic community up here in all the woods. So it was deepest, darkest forest. So apparently the Romans were in lots of places around here but wouldn't come in here because all of the trees, all the Celts hiding in them. Guerrilla warfare basically. So there is lots of history, as they say, around here. So it's deep valleys, surrounded by deciduous forest. This was at the heart of the Industrial Revolution. Fast flowing water off the steep hills. There was mills up in Hardcastle Crags. I think it's Gibson Mill. I'll see if I can get a photo. You can still see all the Victorian buildings and mills. It's actually one of the mills here on the left. The other side given. My father-in-law, who was a plumber, used to call HebdenBridge Death Valley because he'd go in doing some work for someone on what looked like a 2-story house. And on the other side it'd be 4 stories. You got to look radiators up 4 floors or down 4 floors. Here's a good example. 3 stories this side, 2 on this side. It's the old Nutcliff Tavern. There it is. So this road is closed off for the moment because of some culvert works up at the top. But last time it was closed off. Closed roads. The world's finest cyclists coming down this road. I was just wondering if, as I mentioned, the Tour de France riders, appreciate they're busy, appreciate they're focused on the road, appreciate they're doing the road map where they can attack and everything, but while they're along in the peloton, It's just one to look at every now and again. I think about the history of some of these places. We're still in the forests here. The road kind of creeps up through it. But you can see, hopefully that gives you some kind of view as to how steep it is down there. And the forests were dark enough and deep enough to hide the Celts, the Romans. Stone Circle I mentioned is up there somewhere. There'll be a junction up here that brings you back to Old Town and towards it. It's in one of the fields. And last time my wife went up for a walk to it, this is years ago, but there was a more modern concrete plinth in the middle with chicken bones and chicken heads on it. So obviously someone's trying to bring back paganism. Well, apparently there's meant to be thousands of practicing witches and pagans in the UK. I don't think I've ever met any, but there's a lot to be said for getting closer to nature and appreciating stroke worshipping trees, because they genuinely are the link between the earth and the sky. These are the ones producing the oxygen from the sunlight and from the nutrients in the earth. So maybe Shinto's got a really good point. We're just starting to come out of the tops or out of the trees onto the farmland. That's sandwiched between the trees on the valley sides that are too steep to do anything with. Can't build on them. Cows and sheep wouldn't graze on them. Onto the land that was cultivated for whatever, either crops or just grass for sheep. So this bit's sandwiched in between this and the moorland and the heathers on the top. So this is Peckwell. So after this would have primarily been crofts, farmers who were raising sheep, bringing their wool down into town, into Gibson Mill. But when the age of steam arrived and coal-fired power, Peckwell entered its own coal-fired mill. Small, I'll show you. The HebdenBridge Industrial Cooperative Society Limited, as was a Robin Hood pub, which I think is now under the management of the landlord from the Stubborn Wharf in HebdenBridge. I think he's moved up here. I get all my HebdenBridge gossip from a friend called Dave who lives there. That is part of the Calder Divide, that way. Here is the mill. See the chimney stack. So this must have transformed life for residents in Peckwell. So all of a sudden you don't need to bring your wool down into Haworth. And the mill was established in 1858. Just coming out of Peckwell now. There's the views back towards Hepton Stall and Steedley Pike. And we're going this way. Up. This is Haworth Old Road. So, back to history. Branwell Bronte, brother of the three Bronte sisters. All great writers, given their books. Branwell Bronte used to like roaming and drinking. Seemed to like a pub in Sowerby Bridge. So he would do a lot of travelling from over those moors over there. Walk to Hebden, have a few beers there, maybe stay the night, and then walk on to Sowerby Bridge for a few more beers, and maybe a few more nights. While his sisters were off writing books, he was off having a bit of fun. Must have been a good night at Sowerby Bridge to tempt you to come over these moors in the winter. This is a nice spot. There's almost nothing up here, except for old farmhouses, heather, fields. 2.3 miles out of Hebden. Not climbing. It's 1,350 odd feet. So probably about 1,000 feet of climbing done. So we've now topped out at 1,424 feet. And we're just crossing from Calder Valley and HebdenBridge into Haworth, the Worth Valley and Airedale. And very often you can have completely different weather between one valley and the other. So while Branwell was off gallivanting and the girls were writing the books, Patrick Bronte, who was an Irish-born Church of Ireland minister, had moved to Bradford, then to Thornton, where a lot of the girls were, and then moved to Haworth to be the minister there. Now, at the time, I think there were lots and lots of child deaths because the quality of the water was rubbish, and so basically there was sewage running down cobbled on Main Street. And Victorians did an amazing job on the plumbing in and on the drainage, etc. So that started to save lives. It's kind of open, but nobody knows it yet. This is one of my other favourite spots in Yorkshire. View down this valley from here. Not the ideal day to do it, but we are now coming down past Oxnode Cemetery. There's also a Commonwealth war grave site. I don't know how many Commonwealth soldiers are buried there, but there are. So, hello chicken, come out the way. Woohoo. Almost chicken for tea. There is the war graves. Well, speaking of the 1940s, Haworth has a 1940s weekend every year where everyone can come along for the whole weekend. There are usually lots of amazing, old Jeeps, old Land Rovers. A few times I've seen Spitfires parked up there. Somebody shoots them up. Lots of people dressed up in World War II costumes. There'll be that Land Army costumes, or call it Women's Air Force, or Royal Air Force, or the Army, etc. Basically, a good time of the weekend to celebrate the 1940s. We're now entering Oxen Hope. This is where the Tour de France Trends Corner, Tour de France joined this road on the 6th of July 2014. And we're a year later, the Tour de Yorkshire, also organised by the ASO, the French organisation that organises the tour, brought the Tour de Yorkshire down here, and we approached Haworth from a different side. So while Hebden might be the centre of the universe, luckily Haworth is the centre of the cycling universe. Oxen up. It says on the map, Gigi Baldy map. Oh, it's NOB. Whatever that means. Given we're in the Pennines, the hills around here, this is one of the only flat pieces of road in Haworth. So I've seen benswift come along here, back in recce for Team Sky. That was early 2015. We're doing a Tour de Yorkshire here. Just coming up to the junction where the Tour de Yorkshire, that stage went downhill, that up the puddles in Haworth. So hopefully if any of the cyclists from 2014 Tour de France or the 2015 Tour de Yorkshire get to see any of this, kind of a little bit more of a glimpse into I appreciate to have a benswift here, a tour and a Tour de Yorkshire. Doesn't make it a intro of cycling. That's probably Monton and France, where the most cyclists are. But that's one of the beauties of cycling, is that, you know, how many football fans will ever get to play a game at Wembley or their favourite club, the Hallowed Turf, whereas you're a cyclist, you get to go and test yourself on some of the roads your heroes have been on. These days there's so much data online as well that actually go and compare your stats to how your favourite riders have gone up hills as well. And that way I just left in awe of all of them, because I know how hard it is going up cobbles on the main street. And that reservoir afterwards, and all those guys were just chatting away in the peloton. Chapeau. Anyway, enjoyed the video. As usual, like it, subscribe, share, and enjoy the rest of your day.